Hopefully, you know by now that here at the City of Durham, we are committed to equity in how we do business every day. One of the ways that we achieve that is through our Equal Business Opportunity Program. The program is designed to make sure that minority and women-owned businesses get a fair shot at city contracts. Through the program, we are helping break down barriers and build a more inclusive local economy. Welcome to City Life. I'm Beverly Thompson. Joining me to talk more about what the program is and why it's so vitally needed are Timothy Jackson and Dwayne Crite. Welcome and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Okay, so Timothy, let's just get started with you. What are historically underutilized businesses?
Yeah, historically underutilized businesses, it encompasses minorities, which are African American, Indian American, Asian American, and Hispanic American, and also women, specifically white women, all make up historically underutilized businesses. Also, they have 51% ownership in their businesses.
Okay. Is this like a federal definition or is it?
It is both. It derives from the federal definition, but also North Carolina has general statutes, and so it is North Carolina's hub definition.
Okay, all right. So next obvious question is, what is the Equal Business Opportunity Program, otherwise known as EBOP?
Yes, our EBOP program, it actually began back in 2014, even before that, but it was a program designed for the City of Durham to support minorities and women in getting government contracts. And so generally with the Equal Business Opportunity Program, we help minorities explain contract processes to them, and then we also try to grow their businesses as well.
And when you say government contracts, specifically the City of Durham?
Correctly, specifically City of Durham contract, or if they're interested in state of North Carolina opportunities, we can provide those resources as well.
Okay, that's good. So Dwayne, let's talk about your company, Crytech Engineering Group. Tell me about your firm and what you do.
Yeah, we're a water resources engineering firm, and we are a group of engineers and construction managers that specialize in water and wastewater infrastructure. So simply put, we design the water treatment facilities that treat your water. We design the pump stations that deliver it to the pipelines. We design the pipelines that deliver it to your home.
Okay.
And then once you use the water and you put it down the sink or flush it through the toilet, we design the pipelines that collect it, the lift stations that pump it to the wastewater treatment facilities, and the wastewater treatment facilities that treat the wastewater.
Interesting. Okay. Now tell us about your connection to the EBOP, or Equal Business Opportunity Program, and how it's worked for you.
Sure. So when I started my business 11 years ago, one of the first offices I visited was the Equal Business Opportunity Office. I wanted to better understand how the program worked and how Crytech can support the city. So through that, we've established relationships and we've flourished in the program. So the program's been really great for us.
That's good. Okay. So Timothy, typically, what kind of challenges do minority and women-owned businesses often face when it comes to contracting opportunities with organizations such as the City of Durham or any other governments?
Some of the two challenges that I've noted in the program is with understanding the solicitations. Oftentimes there may be language in those solicitations that underutilized businesses may not understand, which can result in them maybe not submitting their proposals on time. And then also payment. Generally, contractors should be paid within 30 days. A lot of times that may not happen, and as a result, those underutilized businesses are unable to pay their workers, or they may have to just go without. So those are two of some of the notable opportunities in the program.
I would imagine, though, that most of these businesses actually are small businesses, and it's a challenge to go 30 days to wait for payment. I mean, how do you help them acclimate to that?
So what I generally do is we have a compliance system with the City of Durham, and we do payment monitoring. If we notice that, if the city's the prime contractor, if we notice we haven't paid that UB on time. We try to contact the underutilized business and maybe find out, did something get mixed up, or is there some way we can mediate and try to resolve the issues.
So you just try to facilitate the whole process for small and underutilized businesses. Now, Dwayne, what was your experience like in trying to get contracts before you actually started participating in the program?
Right. So, before I started my own firm, I worked for larger infrastructure firms in California, South Carolina, and Georgia. And when I started my own firm, it was very difficult to secure contracts. It was just difficult to make those connections. So the Equal Business Opportunity Program allowed for those connections. They facilitated that. So what it does is, at least for us, it opened the door. It's not a guarantee for work, but it was an opportunity. They provide opportunities for us to get into the room and demonstrate to department heads and prime contractors what we can do. And then from there, again, we have to deliver on that project.
I noticed you said prime contractors, so it puts you in the position of actually subcontracting as well.
Right. So many of our first projects were subcontracting opportunities. So we cherish every one of those subcontracting opportunities. We take care of that project and deliver it on time and hopefully under budget. So what we've found is you do enough of that, then other doors and opportunities will open. So you have to take care of the opportunities that are presented to you in order to get more and more opportunities.
Definitely. Timothy, what kind of mechanisms or strategies are in place for the program to provide support to businesses? How do you support those businesses?
Yeah, one of the strategies that's in place, Beverly, is we believe in outreach is fundamental, but in the UBC Underutilized Compliance Division, I believe in strategic outreach. And so what we will do is host an event where the prime contractors can actually meet subcontractors and learn who they are, because it's really about relationship building. If those prime contractors feel they have a good relationship, then generally that may result in an opportunity. Also, we have partnership organizations that will support the City of Durham. The Institute, which is it's like a nonprofit, but they focus on business development. And then here at the City of Durham, we partner with the Office of Economic Workforce and Development. They actually have a small business development component as well. So we will leverage all of those opportunities in helping underutilized businesses.
So Dwayne, what has working with the program actually done for your business? I know you touched on it a bit before. But
Right, yeah, so it's opened a lot of doors. And to Timothy's point, it's helped us be strategic. One of the things we did, at least I did when I started the business, is I would read the meeting minutes from City Council, explore the website to identify what strategic partners did I want to link up with. And I work with the Equal Business Opportunity Office to make those relationships happen, help facilitate those. And over time, you strengthen those relationships, and then the opportunities will present themselves.
Now, my next question, we touched on it a bit about subcontracting and working with primes. How do you help businesses to determine whether or not, I can go out for this particular project as a prime versus a sub? Or do they typically know? I mean, how do you make that decision?
Yeah, and it's all of that, Beverly. We do have to help them determine that. A lot of times, based on the dollar amount of a project, companies have bonding capacity. That bonding capacity is made up of, how many projects of this caliber have you done before? Can we invest in you insurance-wise? So it kind of helps determine whether you're able to be a prime. Also, if you are a smaller company, I always recommend teaming up or partnering with another company a similar size, and then the two companies can join together and maybe become a prime and bid on a contract. So we'll try to leverage as many ways as possible and help them determine what's best for them.
Okay. So what are the criteria for a small business to participate in the program?
So for the EBOP program, the first criteria is you want to consult with North Carolina Hub Office, and they're going to require that you be in business for at least a year. You also have to be a registered North Carolina business through the North Carolina Secretary of State. Once you've met those requirements, all the City of Durham requires is that you show us your state certification letter. And then what we'll then do is we have a 22 county marketplace that the City of Durham gets credit for utilizing underutilized businesses. We'll make sure that you're located in one of those 22 counties, and then based on what your scope of work is, we'll put you into the city's database, and we'll start soliciting those opportunities as they come in.
I know you said get credit.
Right.
What does that mean?
So what that means is everything hinges on what we call disparity studies. And so back in 2014, the City of Durham had a disparity study. A disparity study is basically the United States Supreme Court justification of why you have a race-conscious program. It's based on an old 1989 Richmond versus Croson case, and it's based on strict scrutiny. And so the Supreme Court wants to say that if you're going to have a race-conscious program, we need to look at it with strict scrutiny and make sure that this is not a favorite program, that you're not just giving the opportunity. And so the City of Durham operates under that program, which those consultants came in and they defined, here's the City of Durham's 22 county marketplace. So as long as the City of Durham uses certified through the state of North Carolina hubs, then the city can count that as participation.
Gotcha. Okay. Oh, thank you. That
Yes,
was
ma'am.
really clear.
Oh, yes.
Your explanation. So, Dwayne, your company is probably in one of those areas, 22 market area. How did you learn about the program and actually get connected with it?
Again, just understanding when I first started the business, like who's out there, what programs and opportunities does the city provide. So once I found those, and again went by the office to better understand what they do, it really helped us to succeed. As Timothy mentioned, you know, there's funding opportunities to support those periods where you have to wait 30 days or beyond to get paid. And that can be a burden on a small business, obviously. How to read contracts, they offer opportunities to do that. So a lot of opportunities to understand, can I meet the criteria of this contract? And you know, for us, where it was successful is, you know, being a sub-consultant. So we got to work with primes who had worked with the city numerous times and understand, as I like to say, what the city's love language is. So once we understood that love language, then we were able to go out and prime contracts ourselves.
I know a lot of times in council meetings, there are questions about participation and if minority businesses are involved. And I'm sure this program helps a lot toward making sure that the same kinds of efforts for prime contractors or big companies are available to smaller businesses. So that's a great thing, good thing. Timothy, assuming a business, say, meets all the criteria, what is the actual process for becoming involved?
So one of the main processes is once you have all of your paperwork into us and you reach out to the Underutilized Compliance Division, you'll start getting emails of different contract opportunities. And so once those businesses get those emails, they're basically solicitations. They're supposed to pick and choose if they think they can meet those requirements. And that is exactly what it looks like. Once you choose what opportunity you want, there's a project manager name in those opportunities. There's details about the projects, and then there's a question number. You can email your questions or even talk to someone to answer any questions about that solicitation that you may have.
So the project manager is with the business?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, not the city.
Correct. Well, we do both. So we want to make sure that the city contact, we can also provide businesses our city information. Maybe they don't feel comfortable going directly to a prime, and they can come to our office and we will mediate, or we will answer as many questions as we can also.
That is so important.
Yes.
That is so good. I think you pretty much talked about what participating looks like for a business. But Dwayne, what did the flip side? Well, what did the program or participating in the program look like for you?
Right. So it opened doors that were otherwise be closed. So again, just to reiterate, it just allowed us to get into the room and present our best selves to department heads and prime contractors. And really, once we had that opportunity, that's really the work really began, because now we have to deliver on what we said we could do. And again, if we delivered on time and under budget, then more doors and opportunities would potentially open for us. So it's been a great program for us. And again, you have to be patient. This is not a guarantee. You will have to work hard at putting yourself out there and marketing and being present and at these meetings, these pre-construction meetings, and in the department, asking the right questions, requesting meetings with said individuals. So there's a lot of work that goes into it. You can't just rest on your laurels and think, okay, the phone's going to ring or the emails are going to come. So, but again, the department helps to develop a roadmap for that process.
So the department actually chooses who the prime and the sub, or who the contractor will be for a particular project.
Beverly, generally, it depends, and the reason why I say it depends, if there's a construction project, you have to follow North Carolina construction law, and so that's based on the lowest responsible bidder. However, if it's more architectural engineering, professional type services, then it's a committee based on who's the most qualified.
Gotcha. Okay, it can be a complicated process.
Yeah,
can it?
definitely can.
Yes,
Definitely can.
for sure. You mentioned disparity study a few minutes ago. So are we getting ready to conduct a new one to update the one from, I believe, 2017?
2014.
14. Tell us a little bit more about that and why it's needed.
Yes, Beverly. So to answer your question right off, yes, we have already put out the solicitation. We are getting ready to go to City Council, hopefully really soon, to make a recommendation for who we think the best qualified consultant is. Why is a disparity study crucially important? It's important because it justifies why you have a program. In other words, consultants will come in and look at the city's contracting processes. They're going to look for inequalities. They're going to look at our city ordinances. They're going to look at conversations that city workers are having with underutilized businesses and make sure that there are no barriers and that we're being as transparent and as honest with the public as possible. In the end, those consultants will make recommendations to our city council about ways the city can help improve and strengthen its program. And then at that time, it will be up to our city council to choose which remedies work best for the city of Durham. So it's definitely vitally important. And then again, it will also strengthen our city attorney's office because what it does is, from a risk standpoint with the city, it makes our program legally defensible, which means as we get challenges, it's rare that those challenges would go through because we've already passed strict scrutiny, the highest scrutiny through the judicial process.
So how can business owners find out about the project?
Yeah, business owners can find out the project if you want to. They can either go to the city website, City of Durham website, and type in underutilized business division. We have all the information there. Or they can email ubcfinance at durhamnc.gov, and we can give you all information, or call us at the city number as well.
So I can't, let end this without addressing the elephant in the room about what's happening at the federal as well as the state level when it comes to participation and minority projects, let's just say in general. Is there any way we are preparing as a city to make what we're doing defensible, or do we just do what we do and see what happens?
No, that's a great question. I'm glad you said that, Beverly, because that's one of the first things I started working on when I came to the city of Durham. Years ago, we knew this day would potentially come. And so what the city of Durham has already done is we have a city charter. Our city charter gives us exemptions from the state statutes and also protects us federally. So in a worst case scenario, if legislation goes through, the city can still move forward and operate as it's doing now because it has a charter. There's also special delegations that are given to us via other programs. And so we're already prepared that way. But crucially, by having the disparity study, it complies us with federal guidelines. And so our attorneys would be definitely prepared to meet those challenges if they were to arise.
How long does this type of study take?
Generally, the study itself takes 1 year. 1 year to get the data and make the recommendations. And then best business practice is that you want to have these studies done anywhere between 5 to 7 years, just so you can show that you have a fresh program, fresh information.
Okay. Is there anything either of you would like to add?
I know for, the program is critically important for, somebody that is a small and minority-owned business. It's critically important to small, minority, and women-owned businesses. You kind of touched on what does it mean or how has it changed us. So I can tell you that we also, for cities in the state that don't have a program, we don't get calls from the same prime contractors that we work for Durham. And one of the main reasons is because they don't have a program. So that shows and demonstrates that, without a program, many of our small and minority and women-owned businesses just wouldn't survive.
Yeah. So, okay, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, Beverly, I would just like to say for a lot of the underutilized businesses out there and for small business in general, the city of Durham supports those businesses. The city of Durham is going to continue to support all of our businesses, underutilized and small businesses. And so just come and support. I would just tell citizens, just come and support. Don't think the city is giving up because we're in this for the long haul.
And again, to get in touch with your office, how do they do that?
Yes, they can reach us at UBC Finance at durhamnc.gov, or they can contact us. Our office number is area code 919-560-4860, and so they can definitely reach us. We're here and available.
And they ask for Timothy Jackson.
Yes,
right?
they can ask for Timothy Jackson. That's no problem.
Very informative show. Thank you both so much for being with me today.
Thank you.
Well, that does it for City Life. Don't forget to follow us on social media, watch us on the Durham Television Network and on YouTube, and you can listen to our podcast on iTunes. I'm Beverly Thompson. Thank you for joining me to learn more about city life in Durham.
Timothy, you talked about the 22 county area. Can you, without naming all the individual counties, but just give us an idea of the general parameters of that area?
Yeah, general parameters, we go as far east as Wake County, far east as Wake County, and then as far west as Alamance, Greensboro, High Point area. So all counties in between, there's like 22 county circumference area that makes up our marketplace.
So you all are responsible for the companies in all of those 22 counties? Wow.
That's correct. And generally what happens is it ties into the disparity study. And so these are the counties that the city does business with as far as spend, tracking our dollars. So city dollars are tracked right now through 22 counties.